Alright, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, March the 30th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Hello. Gentlemen. Hello.
Hello. There we go. Little Three Stooges action for you. How the hell are you guys tonight?
Fine.
I'm pumped.
You're pumped?
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. I love being pumped.
You know why?
Why are you pumped?
I don't know. That's why I asked.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Thought maybe again. I thought you were referencing something on your OnlyFans page.
Nope. Nope.
he was
still
pumped.
pumped.
He was still pumped. Yeah.
All right.
Some
Whatever it takes.
Odd request on the OnlyFans page this week.
Hey, you know what?
As opposed to the usual odd request.
Everybody's got a kink. So what do you do?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited because the basketballs and the baseballs is finishing and starting.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yeah, that's right. There's just
a lot going on.
2-3 more games of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a great tournament so far.
It's been really good.
And then we'll have a champion. And the Peacock is dead. So I'm happy about that.
Well, they're not dead. They just,
Well, they're out of the tournament. So
they're out of the tournament. Yeah.
I know. I just couldn't get into the... I'm a Cinderella fan, like, for the first couple of rounds. But after that, no.
After that, they don't belong there anymore?
No, get out.
You just like to really piss on anybody's parade unless it's the Jets or Iona.
Well, yeah. I'm bitter because I've never had a parade, and I'm going to just take as many people down with me as I can.
Maybe that's what we should do for our next anniversary shows. We should have a parade for Pete. And all 7 of the people who have ever listened to this can join in the parade.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. Why not? What the hell?
I mean, if we invite Pete's OnlyFans, then...
forget about it. Oh, how about...
We'll have 9 or 10 maybe altogether.
Well, 9 loyal fans is all you really need.
That's all you really need, though, really. I mean, if everybody...
you get tired anyway,
I think 9, you can officially have an orgy with 9, can't you?
Well, if they're all there at the same time, I don't know how it is.
Well, yeah, it's rotating. Yeah. It's not really like true to style.
You could do like a Zoom orgy, maybe.
A Zoom orgy. What would that be like?
Well, it's not as exciting as in person.
If you fuck somebody with multiple personalities, is that an orgy?
If they have,
depends on how you look at it.
Only if they have.
Depends on how they look at it.
That too.
So, do you want to talk about the NCAA since I brought it up and it's not that much to talk about?
Yeah, why not? Why not? We're here. You brought it up. I figured, normally save it till later, but we can talk about it at the top. Who cares? There's no rhyme or reason to the show. You know that.
No, that's the way I like it. So, yeah, I'm torn because it's Duke and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I have to root for North Carolina, though I hate them both. But
you hate North Carolina less.
Yeah. Well, no, I hate Duke more. And then on the other side, 2 teams that I like.
So you don't hate North Carolina less. You hate Duke more.
I hate Duke more, yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is a matter. I see where you're going there.
Semantics, but they both start here, and then Duke goes here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I got
okay.
You don't hate North Carolina less because they're playing Duke. You just hate Duke more than you do. North Carolina is still the same amount of hatred for the North Carolina team, but I got you.
Yeah.
I follow you.
And I mean, North Carolina took care of St. Peter's, so,
Yeah, they did.
But see, then on the other side, I have 2 teams that I like in Villanova and Kansas.
You would like them to play each other.
Well, right. One of them has. So I really,
you don't like Duke, but you like Kansas. Okay.
If North Carolina wins, that's satisfying to me, slightly, but it's still North Carolina will then play for the national championship.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Usually.
But I really only get one chance for complete satisfaction, which is whoever wins the other side of the draw if they beat North Carolina or Duke, if Duke is to win.
Well, look, having been in Jersey City during the tournament for the really for 2 games, this was the St. Peter story was an amazing story, especially based on Shaheen Holloway's. And look, this was a team that I had a decent feeling, actually. Once they beat Kentucky, I thought, yeah, they could win these next 2 rounds. And I actually thought they could beat Purdue. But my gut really told me that they had no chance against North Carolina. And as soon as that game started, they were tight. And North Carolina's athleticism and size together exposed them. But this is a great, great, great story. And if this is a school that didn't have enough T-shirts in there. They had like 12 T-shirts left. They sold. That's how small it is. I think there's been less people that have graduated from St. Peter's than are currently enrolled at North Carolina or Purdue.
Yeah.
So this is a great story. Look, I understand the Duke. Duke is a lot like the Cowboys or the Yankees or some other teams where people irrationally don't like them. Mike Krzyzewski is the best coach in college basketball history. And I think Duke is an incredible story. And I actually think that I find myself rooting for them because now that the underdog is out, I think this would be an incredible way for them to end Krzyzewski's career, especially since they kind of stumbled down the stretch of the regular season.
Yep.
But having said that, the seeding really doesn't mean much unless you really look at how those teams are playing towards the end of the year. And to me, I think, and I think North Carolina is a better team than Duke. I actually think it would be an upset if North Carolina loses to Duke. I think Villanova is a dog against Kansas, and I think that now that they're dealing with the injuries that they're dealing with, I think it's going to be really tough. But I'm going to root for Villanova.
But I really Kansas does have something of a history of choking, or
Well, I mean, look, Kansas
not choking. That's
right.
But there are big games that you thought, obviously nothing is ever definite. Right. But there are times when how did they blow that one?
I think all 4 of these teams are obviously playing their best basketball of the season right now. If I had to look at it completely logically, I think Kansas and North Carolina are the 2 best teams left. And I actually give an edge to Kansas in a head-to-head matchup, although I think it would be a good game. I think they're more consistent. Having said that, look, this has been a great tournament, not just because of the St. Peter story. I just think there's been a lot more competition, and a lot of these top teams struggled to get through this tournament. There was a lot of games that you 2 or 3 minutes left in the game, you got a 2-point game with the number 5 against a 12 or a number 1. Playing a number 8. So it's been a good tournament. I think you're starting to see some more players that have been around for 3-4 years. And there's more, I think the teams that have been able to hold on to, let's call it more veteran players, you're starting to see that, St. Peter's included. So we'll see what happens. I'm happy for Hubert Davis of UNC. Look, when you look at all 4 of these schools, they have incredible basketball histories, and they're all top-notch programs when it comes to college basketball. So the cream rises to the top a lot of times, and I think I think Villanova will keep it close. I think Kansas will win. I think that Duke North Carolina game, I just give the edge to North Carolina. I think Duke really has to continue to play lights out and clutch at the end of the game, which they could. And it would certainly be a storybook ending to Krzyzewski's career. But I think North Carolina's just playing. I think they're playing the best ball they've played all year.
Yeah, I think it was North Carolina beat Duke in the ACC tournament final, and I think beat them in the season series too. So
they beat him in the final game at Cameron, the final game,
right.
Home game for Schuster.
So you have to kind of think, oh, Duke is now due, right? The pendulum can't the pendulum is
right. Common
wrong.
sense would say that based on look, the other thing that, and I think people have talked about, this is the first time they've ever met in an NCAA tournament, which is crazy to me. Now, you could say, okay, they probably a lot of time get seeded in the same, region. Not always the case. I think it's been pretty impressive that they have never faced each other in NCAA tournament history.
That's
First
great.
time, Final Four. Last year of Krzyzewski's coaching career, first
Right.
year of Hubert Davis's coaching career.
Yeah,
and then you got Bill Self over in with Kansas. It's a good storyline. I think it's good for college basketball. I feel like it's been a more interesting, in-depth tournament than maybe the last few years. Maybe I'm just paying more attention. I don't know.
Well, it's been a great tournament. And look, this is going to be, until they meet again, this is going to be a certain type of bragging rights for whoever wins this game, right?
Right.
No matter who is overall more successful of this and that. I kind of liken it to the Mets and the Yankees being in the World Series.
Right.
And the Yankees obviously much greater success throughout history and all that. But, and of course, the Mets did not win. But had the Mets won that series, all that kind of goes out the window, because any Met fan all has to say, yeah, but we beat you in the series, until they play again. And who knows? Of course, that didn't happen. So, but this is going to be that sort of situation. You can say whatever you want.
Sure.
Yeah, you had more success. You've got more national titles or whatever. We beat you the one time we met, until they meet again. So that's for whatever that's worth.
Right. And look, it's an in-state rivalry. The difference is that you could argue North Carolina has a greater history. I mean, Duke's run, while it's been a long time, has really been in the Krzyzewski era.
Yeah.
And it's been since the late 80s on, whereas North Carolina has been pretty much a perennial powerhouse. But Duke's got more NCAA championships, and they're favored to win. The eye test doesn't tell me that by watching these two teams play. I think Duke is playing their best ball. I also think North Carolina is, and I just think North Carolina's got more talent. I could be wrong, but Duke is favored by 4 points, which I think is a lot.
I seem to remember. Duke was a number 2 seed, right?
Right.
West.
Yeah, North Carolina was an 8. I get it, but what I'm saying is that going into this, you knew. North Carolina was an easy 8 seed to push to the Final Four.
Right. Right. No, what I was going to say is I don't. Like, I remember some guys saying that, yes, Duke is a number 2 seed, but because of their late season stumbles,
right,
there were some people who said, well, yeah, they're a number 2, but I'm not really thinking they're going to maybe go that far. And
a lot of people thought they were susceptible
as well.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Like that analysis was, yes, they're number 2, look at the number, but they're not that they're a bad number 2, but there were a lot of, the professional pundits who were saying, yeah, I don't know if I would count on this Duke team to get, maybe even into the Elite 8. I think some people were saying.
They had a hard time closing out games, and that's the one thing that they've been able to do really and turn it around within the tournament, is be able to close out games. So we'll see. It's going to be, I hope both of these games live up to the anticipation.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be heartbroken again.
Yeah, actually, I was wrong. North Carolina actually has 6 championships, and Duke only has 5. I thought it was the other way around. So other
close enough that it's not, it's not
right.
6-3 or anything like that.
No, so. And it's other than UCLA, and Kentucky. These are the top 2 of the top 4 most successful teams in men's college basketball history.
But now I think I heard every time Villanova's ever gone to the Final Four, and they've won the whole thing, which I guess is twice, I think. I don't know if that's true or if I actually heard that or something similar to that. But
yeah, they have won it twice, and they beat North Carolina in not how many years ago? 2000. Well, didn't Villanova just win
a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, 2000. No, they won it in 18. They beat Michigan, and then they won it in 16, and they beat North Carolina.
Okay.
So Duke, I guess, won it in 15. It's interesting, but yeah, it's I guess that's the last championship was 2015 for Duke, 2018 for Villanova. So out of all these teams, Villanova's won it the most recently, with North Carolina coming in second. And it's been a while. I mean, 2008 is when Kansas last won it, but it's like, come on, it's there's these four schools have had incredible success in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Villanova I like because they won it in '85.
Well, of course, that was again when Villanova really came to national prominence. They weren't much of a basketball school before that. It was also at the height of the Big East when you had teams like Villanova and St. John's and Georgetown,
and Syracuse were all
really good at that time.
Each other
and
up,
Syracuse, yeah. I mean, the Big East was right there with the ACC as far as powerhouses. And of course, it was a different type of basketball. It was a more physical, defensive, for the most part, oriented. It was also, let's face it, teams that the Big East didn't necessarily have the big names. You still had Michael Jordan, he went to North Carolina. I mean, you still had North Carolina and the Kentuckys, and they still typically had the bigger name draws. They still had the talent that they were able to recruit. But you had, teams like Syracuse, teams like Seton Hall, teams like obviously like
Seton
Villanova.
Hall has some swag too.
And they, these were relatively smaller programs that, that Villanova win was a pretty big upset at the time,
Yeah, especially against Georgetown. Hated them. Syracuse fans, so hated the rest of the Big East, of course.
Well, in Syracuse, until Carmelo was always sort of, they couldn't quite get over the hump, although they had some great teams. Again, with guys like Ronnie Cycli, it's
right. You look back at
some of
those
a real
names.
Grind it out. I mean, it wasn't uncommon to see a 48-44 Big East basketball game because of, the defensive side of things and just the intensity. They didn't have the sharpshooters until later with guys like Allen Iverson came to Georgetown, where it opened things up quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, you take these four teams, you maybe add Kentucky and UCLA, and you're talking about pretty much the most successful college basketball franchises.
Yeah, kind of college basketball royalty.
Yeah.
All right, John's left us, I guess.
He's left us. I mean, and let's not forget about the ladies. The women's tournament. Hats off to a UConn program. Which, when was the last time we saw UConn not be a number one seed?
Right.
This South Carolina team though is.
I'm back.
Is really good, and you got to the women's game to me is almost more enjoyable to watch. It's just these are some good games, and I don't know. So the South Carolina program, that's a program that over the last few years you have to give them a lot of credit for what they've been able to create there.
What I miss?
Well, we just kind of talked about the NCAA tournament, so we can move on to whatever's next.
I figured
water polo or.
Water polo is last. Actually, we're doing water polo.
How are our brackets looking? Who's doing the best? Do we have any? Has Jimmy tabulated that?
Oh yeah, we're gonna pick the final three games.
We're gonna pick the final three games here, but I'm just gonna pull up right
final
here.
3 games.
Well, there's 2 semifinals and then the final game.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Right. Hence the final 4. If there's just I mean, this is technology at its finest, right? I mean, this is an Apple computer I'm on. You would expect it to work occasionally. You know,
Apple, we're not disclaiming, we're not discouraging your products. If you
like,
if you would like to provide both myself and Jersey Johnny with a new product, we would gladly promote it on the show.
Absolutely, every day,
all of the time.
Yeah,
because
listen, Apple, if you want to change minds, then cough up some.
I mean, I have look on my Instagram stories. There's at least 12 people on a really, really peak day that watch them. So, it's money, baby. It's money.
Yeah,
it's money well spent.
Absolutely.
So here's a quick story about Apple products.
I'll tally up these while you talk about.
All right,
Apple
there
products.
We go. That's what I was thinking.
I didn't know. So, we were a tech corner, Pete's Tech Corner.
My son, as part of his college experience, he gets a laptop. He gets a MacBook Air or whatever it was, which you can buy for $1 when he leaves school.
Wow.
So yeah, it's part of his scholarship as you get a computer, and so he's happy with that, and he uses it and all that. So the other day he sent me a Snapchat, and I guess because of the pandemic, they had extra iPads, I guess, that were part of the scholarship program. Mm-hmm. So he got himself. He lives in the dorms at school, which is. They're very limited. It's mostly a commuter school, but again, as part of the scholarship, he gets he doesn't have to go through a lottery if he wants to stay in the dorms. Mm-hmm. So he was going out somewhere. He walked downstairs, and in the common area of whatever the dorm, they were giving out iPads.
Interesting.
So he got
what school is this?
This is Queens College.
Queens College.
So he got himself an iPad, and he's like, I'm like, well, how did that? And he goes, well, I guess they had a surplus because, whatever, people didn't come back to school, or, new enrollment was down. I don't know, whatever it is. So here's the funny part. Well, not funny, but ironic. The next day, because of course he's not quite an alumni, but he's a student there. And so, of course, they're always hitting me up for money.
Right.
So the next day I get an email about, hey, don't you want to support the free laptop program? And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because you're giving this stuff away because you have too much of it.
I just did. I got one for my son.
Exactly.
So I thought that was...
that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, like literally the next day, like, well, our stock's been depleted because we gave out a bunch of stuff. And again, that was not part of it. He already had his laptop, but whatever. It's just good timing, I guess. So.
That was great timing.
So
as far as
the next day, they're like, "Can you give us some money so we can give out more laptops?" Like, nope,
not
maybe
needed.
next year.
Thank you. Yeah. Whatchamacallit? So okay, at the Sweet 16, all three of us picked Gonzaga. Of course, they lost.
Oh, I think I did the worst, right?
Yeah. Well, you want to just give the tallies, or you want me to tell
every one of my picks lost?
Yeah, just do the tallies. We don't need to go through.
All right, fine. Pete, you had 3 wins out of 8.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I would have thought it was 1.
Harry, you had 6 wins out of 8. I had 5 wins out of 8. Yeah. So there you go. So Harry, you win the Sweet 16.
I won the Sweet 16.
You won the Sweet 16.
If you Google that, something.
Harry Lug Nutz wins the Sweet 16.
That's right.
That's it.
I never had a Sweet 16 party.
You didn't.
No.
Maybe I'll post a certificate on the website.
That's right.
There you go. So Harry wins. All right. So Final Four. We got 3 games here. And who wants to go first? Pete, you go first since you're the.
All right. I'll take North Carolina.
Okay, you want.
I'll take Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
And I think North Carolina is going to win it all, so I'll take Villanova for the national championship.
All right. So you say Nova's winning, UNC's winning, and then Nova's winning it all.
Sure, why not?
All right, Harry.
Well, I think North Carolina is going to beat Duke. I'll be rooting for Duke. I also think Kansas is going to win, and I'll be rooting for Villanova. And I think Kansas is going to win it all.
Okay, so you're taking Duke, Kansas, and Kansas.
I'm taking North Carolina.
North Carolina, Kansas. UNC, Kansas, and Kansas wins it all.
Now, I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy if I'm wrong.
Okay.
And I just want to say, I'm absolutely positive that Duke is going to be the national champion.
Okay.
Because they have to. But I'm not gonna. But I'm gonna pick against them because I hate them.
Well, I'm going right now. I'm telling you, Duke is beating North Carolina, Villanova's beating Kansas, and then Duke is winning the national championship. So. Duke, Duke.
Yeah, I think
not a lot of love for Kansas.
I think Duke's going to be the champion, but
I hope you're right. I mean, I think it'd be a great story. That North Carolina team just looks to be a little better than Duke, but I think Kansas is the best team left. But we'll see.
There you go.
We shall see.
We shall see. All right, cool. All right, let's change gears back to here. I might as well utilize the backgrounds here. Let's change gears back to baseball. Momentito. Baseball. Yeah. Well, you want to talk NBA first, and then do our list, and then.
No, we could talk baseball.
All right, let's talk baseball. Just it's brief. There's not a lot tonight.
That's how I learned about the Mets. It's by listening to you guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
Honestly.
All right. Just a couple things. I got Albert Pujols is gonna stick around for another year, one more year, but in St. Louis.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I can't believe he burned through 10 seasons already with the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got a hit yesterday or today. I think I read.
I'm sure. Isn't he on the bubble of breaking or going ahead of somebody?
He's got 677 home runs, something like that. So
and who's next on the list?
Above him?
Yeah.
A-Rod, right?
Is it that many?
Yeah, I believe so. You can check it out if you want. I'm nervous to go open another window on my browser.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna have to do the Googling tonight.
Well, I with my non-Apple product.
Yeah, he's only 17 behind A-Rod.
There you go.
I knew it was close.
Yeah. Oh, that's how many he hit last year too.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's 677?
679 to 696.
696, right? Yeah.
God, A-Rod hit a lot of home runs.
He did. And just think of what could have happened if he didn't have that year and change off. And
I mean, I think he would have passed Babe Ruth. I also think A-Rod kind of hung it up early.
He could have played longer. He could have played another year or two. But maybe he didn't want to play another year or two because he knew that he was, tailing, and he didn't want to go out that way.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
He's living a pretty good life.
He's not bad. Not bad. Yeah, he's got those Timberwolves playing good basketball.
It's all because of A-Rod. Yeah. He's teaching him how to shag. Grounders.
Right. Exactly. Shag grounders. There you go. Anyway. All right. Cool. So Pujols hanging around. Mets wise, Mets will honor Johan Santana's no-hitter. The 10th anniversary was no-hitter. Of course, that was June 1st. They're going to honor it on Tuesday, May 31st. I didn't look at the schedule, but I can only assume that's because they don't have a game on Wednesday, June 1st. So, Tuesday, May 31st, they will honor Johan Santana's no-hitter. Of course, that is the only no-hitter in Mets history.
You're going to do that by having somebody throw too many pitches in less than optimal weather conditions and ruining his career.
And ruin their career, exactly. That's how they're going to honor him, to follow his suit.
They're going to call up some rookie for the day and go, just go out there until your arm falls off.
Yeah, we don't want anybody screwing. DeGrom, no, you're sitting. Scherzer, over there. Let's call up. Let's put Joey Lucchesi in. You got the ball. Go, Joey. Go ahead. Pitch away. But anyway, so I'll be there. And then the other thing I wanted to just say, Mets-wise.
He's going to do a duet with Rob Thomas, too, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right. He's going to, of course, no, but Rob Thomas is playing guitar, though. Johan's singing.
Wait,
right.
What day was the no-hitter?
It was June 1st, 2012.
Why wouldn't they do it? They're playing the Nationals at Citi Field, according to this schedule.
On June 1st?
Yeah.
And they're playing the Nationals on the 31st, too, right?
Yeah. And the 30th.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You're right. Why wouldn't they do it the night? Why wouldn't they do it the night of?
Let me make sure I'm looking at the right year here.
Who cares?
Maybe you're looking at if it's Tuesday. There you go. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, May 31st, because Wednesday's June 1st.
Yeah. So why not just?
Well, if there's a game, I just assumed that there wasn't a game on Wednesday, June 1st.
No, according to this, it's the final in the 3-game set with the Nationals.
That makes no sense then.
Well, there you go. That's the Mets, folks.
Well, no. Hold on.
They already had Lee Mazzilli bobblehead.
I'll tell you what it is right now. Look at the times. I guarantee you Tuesday night's game is a night game and the Wednesday game's a day game. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's why. They want to do it at night. They want to do it at night.
Aren't they making up some of the games they missed?
Yeah, I don't know when they're doing it.
Maybe they could do a doubleheader that day.
There you go.
I think they missed the first series was with the National. Well, the first, 2 series they're not going to make up, but then...
The first 2 series they are going to make up.
They're
making everything up. Yeah, no, they're doing 162 games this year. They're playing 162.
Just do a doubleheader there, and
yeah, because they were supposed to play. The Nationals was their opening series, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So, yeah.
That's one of the ones you missed. So
they have to make up games. So why not throw one of those games they're going to make
up?
up?
One of those on Wednesday night.
Doubleheader Wednesday. Yeah. That would make sense. Day night, do a day night, do a 1 o'clock and then a 7:30. Yeah,
later this year in October, they're going to relive the Roger Clemens Mike Piazza incident, and fans get to throw bats at Mike Piazza
and whoever gets closest, and whoever throws it very similarly the way Clemens threw it wins.
He does. They win a Lee Mazzilli bobblehead.
Lee Mazzilli bobblehead.
You know what?
Right.
They won't.
Got one left.
They won't do that because the next day they're in at the Dodgers.
No.
So they're not going to have a night game and then travel all the way across.
So there you go. That's why they can't do it. There you go. Well, you just answer your own question. They got to go all the way. They got to play a day game, then they got to travel out to L.A. So yeah, there's no night game, and they're not doing it during the day. So that's why it's the 31st.
So they're going to do it on a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night,
which is not the actual. Whatever. I don't know.
Day before, whatever. I mean, it's an honoring. It's not like. It doesn't have to be. They could have done it that weekend. Yeah, he's going to be there. They probably would have done it that weekend had they been home that weekend. They probably would have honored him on, Saturday the 4th or whatever.
He's not going to be home.
No, he's away. He's got a
yeah. They won't be
convention.
Back. Yeah, they got the Dodgers, then the Padres, then the Angels.
Family.
They won't be back until June 14th. Exactly.
Oh wow, 2 weeks away. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tune in next week while we go over the entire Mets schedule
going forward,
including all promotional activities.
Well,
exactly.
This is
T-shirt Friday coming at you.
Whatever. Just another example of the Mets just can't quite get it right.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
Close,
I think the Mets have done pretty good this offseason.
Pretty damn good, yeah.
If they screw up Johan Santana Day, I'm not going to be too.
Spoken like a Yankee fan. The Mets have accomplished nothing yet.
Nothing. Yeah. Well, they look like they're on their way to.
They accomplished a lot more this winter than the Yankees did.
This is true. Well, so if you look at it like that, they accomplished a lot.
On the field, they've accomplished nothing.
No.
Sure, nobody has because we haven't started yet.
Right. So, anyway, okay. So that's it. And the only other thing I wanted to say is Buck Showalter. There's this story out there that Keith Hernandez, who, of course, they're retiring his number on Saturday, July 9th.
Right.
And I think that's one of the days we're going to try to go out there and eat some of that food, too, if you recall. That we spoken about when Harry was not on the show that night.
That's
the
right.
Keith Hernandez specialty dog.
Yes, absolutely. But anyway, Keith Hernandez apparently for years has not been invited. There's been a couple of regimes that have not invited him to speak with the batters or anything like that. I believe that's I'm trying to remember the entire article the way it was, but he wasn't invited to be really part of spring training for years. For whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure. They're pretty vague in the article, but Buck Showalter heard about this, went, got him and brought him in. Let's go. Come on, you're down with these guys. So Showalter just ended that horseshit. So he was there. So Hernandez was talking to them, working with them. Piazza was there too, and Al Leiter was working with them too. So they were all.
Do they all still have their mustaches?
They do. They keep them in their pockets. They pull them out when they need them.
Nice.
And yeah. Nice little pouch.
Are they all still filled with cocaine?
Well, that's why they.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you when you said, I wonder why they weren't inviting him. I'm like, did you see the 30 for 30?
Well, no, they weren't. No,
granted, Hernandez was the best out of all of them.
No, they weren't not inviting him to spring training. They weren't inviting him in to speak with the batters. It was specifically something to do with that particular part of spring training. So he was there. But Buck Showalter just drove over. He took one of the golf carts or whatever, drove right over.
How much free time do you have to find that nugget?
Yeah, I read a lot of bullshit.
You haven't heard anything yet.
Oh yeah. All right, let's hear some really good nuggets. Go for it, Pete.
All right, so you might have heard about the Nike MLB City Connect uniforms.
Yes, actually did. Yes,
which launched in 2021. The Mets were not part of the inaugural.
They were not.
17.
Boston was. They had Boston basically had these colors. The old Nuggets colors was their.
So they're basically uniforms that reflect certain aspects of the city where the team plays, and apparently there's about 12 teams or something that are going to wear them this year. The Mets are not among them, but we will get to see I bring up the Washington Nationals because one of the things, of course, about DC is the cherry trees and the cherry blossoms, and they're beautiful and blah blah blah. And the Washington Nationals City Connect uniforms have some flowers on them, on the cap and on the shirt. And actually, they're going to be debuted at their home opening series. I think it's April 8th and 9th against the Mets. So if you're watching the Mets that day, you'll get to see the Nationals. There's some preview pictures. I think today was actually the unveiling of the uniform series. But Nationals, Astros, Kansas City, Colorado, the Angels, the Brewers, the Padres, along with, I think, the Cubs, D-backs, Giants, Red Sox, and the White Sox, all going to have these uniforms. So I wanted to ask you guys what would go on the Yankee City Connect uniforms and what would go on the Mets City Connect uniforms. What are some ideas to let me get the official wording here. When
we say City Connect, are we talking Citibank?
No,
the Nike MLB City Connect uniform series, which launched in 2021, explores the personality, values, and customs that make each community and its residents unique. So it's not about a bank or a sponsor. It's about the uniforms that reflect unique things about the city. So what would the Mets have on theirs, and what would the Yankees have on theirs?
Harry,
Washington has flowers.
You take the Yankees. I'll take the Mets. What do you think, Harry?
Oh boy, I don't know what they would have on there. I mean, living in the past would be written on the back. What have you done for me lately?
Maybe Pizza Rat.
What's that?
Pizza Rat.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard he is.
Or
Pizza
maybe
Rat.
like a pigeon shitting on someone hailing a cab.
There you go.
Well, I mean, we're
Subway.
splitting hairs between the Queens and the Bronx. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have an angry Greek guy and an angry Italian guy, both with nondescript stains on their shirt. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what these uniforms are supposed to. I mean, I think with the Yankees, certainly the uniform would have to play on their history.
Well, it's supposed to be a City Connect thing. It
I get that.
Their history,
but that's what I mean.
Maybe, it's
the connection between the Yankees and the city.
Maybe like a little map of the Bronx or something. I guess right. I don't know.
Maybe the subway train that goes right there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Subway.
Because when you do think, I think overall, both teams have more of a connection to the city. I think that there's much more of a connection with Manhattan, with the Yankees, especially with the location of the Bronx. Whereas with the Mets, I could see another historical aspect with the Mets where they're at, and they could play up a lot of different things from the past, like the World's Fair and things of that nature. So I don't know. It depends on where you want to go. I think they could also play off the history of people from the Bronx and from Queens, whether it's musical artists in general, or other, notable residents who have come out of there. So we'll see. We'll see where they go.
I was going to make a joke, but I think I'm thinking some form of either like, clearly the subway. I mean, that's an easy one, right? I mean, that's
Sure.
clearly something that they could do. With the Mets, they could even throw in, the plane in there, airport stuff. I mean, planes fly over from LaGuardia, fly over that stadium 30 times every game, so.
They could just have car parts, various car parts from the Cross
The other
Bronx
thing, they could
Expressway
have
or the Long
hubcaps and
Island
car
Expressway.
parts right across the street. Yeah, from there, there's still the shops over there, but of course, I mean, Corona Park is right there with the World's Fair.
Right.
Those
the
structures
globe
and everything
there
else.
in the Corona Park.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that is, that's kind of an iconic. I mean, especially if you want to broadcast this beyond just New York. If this is something to try to get, I think the World's Fair is. I mean, and it makes her a great graphic,
right?
Yeah,
so
maybe an airplane too.
Mm-hmm.
Queens has a couple of airports there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They do. And that's the other thing too. I was going to say, you mentioned like connection with Manhattan or whatever. Technically, Yankees, the Mets have actually played in Manhattan.
Sure.
So.
Which is amazing that there's so little sports actually played in the borough of Manhattan.
Yeah. There's 9 local professional sports teams in the New York metro area. 2 of them play in Manhattan.
Yes.
All right. So we got a little bit. So this is, I guess this is from last year. So the White Sox, they had South Side across the front of the jersey.
Right. Yeah.
Miami had, I guess, there's a certain type of
bird
font, if you will, or script or lettering that is reflected by Miami, and they had
because they had like those red and blue uniforms. They had.
Yeah.
Completely, it was really weird to see those.
The Nationals have some flowers on it. Boston was like, I guess they're yellow. Are they yellow or green?
They were yellow and blue.
Yellow and blue, with obviously, again, I think a lot of it is going to have to do with the lettering. I don't know what the Boston
I could see them use.
connection
I could
was.
see them using the font that they use, the New York City subway, the MTA, the subway.
Font,
where they have
that's
this written
what it
subway, right, Mets in that, or.
I mean, I think they could both also tie into the incredible history of hip hop and just really music in general that comes from both.
The Dodgers had
locations.
Los Dodgers.
Good. Los Dodgers. Yeah, well, the Mets have Los Mets, but the Mets have had those uniforms before. They've had the Los Mets uniforms.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were the orange jerseys. I actually love those jerseys.
The Yankees typically don't
jerseys.
step out very far when it comes to deviations of their uniform.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any crazy colors for the Yankees.
The Mets have a bunch of different uniforms.
Right.
The Yankees have 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll get to see. Well, again, Mets and Yankees are not participating as of yet, but maybe one day we'll get to see. I vote for Pizza Rat. I think that would be
Pizza Rat. I like Pizza Rat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Pizza Rat versus falafel.
Slide on the back of the hat. A little.
Yeah, if we asked a number of your family members if Pizza Rat, would they say that you were, or no? But all right. So
all right. The only other thing I got. Did we talk about this last week? I don't think so. The 10 best bullpens ranked on MLB News.
The 10 best bullpens, we did not. I actually have one thing on that too. You just said it to me, reminded me something. No, go for it. We didn't talk. We talked about a couple of the 10 best starting pitchers. We talked about. We didn't talk about.
Oh, right. Well, I'll just go through the listing.
Yeah, just read it off. Yeah.
So number 1 is the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is the White Sox. Number 3 is the Brewers.
Fair enough.
The reason I bring this up is number 4 is anyone?
The Yankees.
The Yankees. Loizaga, Green, Holmes,
On
Wandy,
paper.
Peralta,
On paper.
Mm-hmm.
and of course Chapman.
Every team that you mentioned before that has a better closer in Hendricks and Hader.
Well, now here's the thing they said. The Yanks might tweak, and again, this is whoever's writing this for,
I heard that too, yeah.
The Yanks might tweak Chapman's role this season to avoid long layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that do we
right?
think that part of his
they
problem?
might bring him in to pitch when it might not necessarily be a save situation.
So do we think that was part of the issue there? Is maybe long layoffs were affecting him?
No, I think he's horrible in the clutch.
Okay. Number 5
and I think Zach Britton's been a bust.
Right.
Number 5 is the Giants.
Okay.
6 is the Angels.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, well, you know what? They got Aaron Loop. They got Aaron Loop from the Mets, so which I thought was a stupid move. Aaron Loop was a great pitcher. They should have held on to him. But then again, the Mets did pick up Adam Ottavino.
Yep.
I like Loop better than Ottavino, but
I think the Mets are higher than the Angels.
Yeah.
7 is the Devil Rays. Sorry, they're not the Devil Rays anymore. Just the Rays.
I mean,
just the Rays.
With what, Thompson and who's
let's see,
Castillo,
JT Chagua.
Yeah, Pete Fairbanks and
JP Feyereisen.
Right.
Matt Whistler and Brooks Raley. These are the listed primary setup men, and Andrew Kittredge as the closer.
There you go.
Well, for the Tampa Bay,
for the Rays,
it says Rays. Yeah.
I mean, last year it wasn't their closer Castillo. I don't know. I could be wrong.
He might not be there actually.
He's not there right now.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Let me see. What was the? I think this was. Yeah, this was actually written today.
Okay.
So
maybe he moved on. I don't know.
Maybe he moved on, or maybe he's. Well, let's see. It doesn't say anything about.
Yeah.
No, doesn't even mention his name.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he moved on.
Who's number 8?
I like this. So we can't necessarily guarantee any of the names above will still be in prominent pen roles for the Rays by season's end. Well, duh.
Thanks for saying that.
Number 8 is the Dodgers.
Okay.
And Gratterall is the only name I really recognize from their list. Anybody know the name of the Dodgers closer?
Trinan, right?
Yeah, there you go. Good. Very good. Number 9 is the Blue Jays.
Okay.
And number 10, the Mariners, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Really?
Yeah. Primary setup men, Drew Steckenrider, Diego Castillo, Sergio Romo. There's a name.
You related to Tony?
Maybe. And Ken Giles. And their closer is Seawald?
Seawald. Yeah, Paul Seawald, yeah.
So there. Now, again, this is, honorable mention, Mets, Astros, Red Sox, and a few others. But I don't know. We'll see. Well, I think I will bookmark this, and then
do that. Bookmark it. We can revisit it. Yeah.
But I'll bookmark.
Ken Kenley Jansen have another year where he's,
insanely doing
what he did.
Yeah.
MLB they ranked the 10 best rotations in Major League Baseball. I'll read them quick. I won't dawdle here, but I'll start with number 10 and go down. Number 10, the Phillies. Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Gibson, and Eflin. Yankees are number 9. Cole, Montgomery, Severino, Cortez, and Taillon.
Two of them are hurt right now.
Right. Exactly. Number 8, the Braves. Fried, Morton, Anderson. Not Morton, Anderson. That's pretty weird. Atlanta Braves, they have a pitcher named Morton, and they have a pitcher named Anderson.
Well, Morton Anderson's a hell of a pitcher, especially when he takes his socks off.
When he takes his socks, right. Throws with his left foot. It's really wild.
Yeah, I think I read today Fried is getting the opening day start for them. So.
There you go. And then Wright and Noah.
Right.
Which brought number 7, the Dodgers. Walker Buehler, Kershaw, Urias.
Yeah, they've gone down. That's for sure.
Gonsolin and Haney. Number 6, the Giants. Logan Webb, Carlos Rodon, DeSclafina, Wood, and Cobb. That's number 6. Number 5 would be the Astros. Verlander, Valdez, Garcia, Urquidy, and Javier.
A lot riding
with
on
Jake Odorizzi too is in there
how
too.
Verlander bounces back. Yeah,
true, very true.
Yeah.
Number 4, the White Sox.
Giolito,
Lynn, Cease, Cease, Keuchel, Dallas Keuchel, and Kopech. Number 3, the Blue Jays. Jose Barrios, Gaussman, Hyun-Jin Ryu, Manoah, and Kikuchi. Number 2, the Brewers.
Brewers, yeah.
Woodruff, Burns, Peralta, Lauer, Hauser, and Ashby. And number 1, your New York Mets. DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett, Carrasco, Walker.
I mean, when you combine bullpens and starting rotation, you got to look at the Brewers as probably being number 1.
Mm-hmm.
With the
because the Mets were an honorable mention, and the Brewers were
the Mets probably 2 or 3 in there. Giants and the Braves, I think, are the deepest. Right. I think the Yankees rotation, they're being kind. I think they're being kind to their bullpen too. Mm-hmm. But already so many of these lists are just going to be, do you have the depth, and who's going to step up when inevitably injuries occur? And I think the Yankees we're already starting to see some of the ramifications of a lot of these guys thinking the holdout was going to go longer, because there's a lot of pitchers who are pitching very short stints in the preseason right now.
Right.
Or they're getting battered, or they're having injuries. So
there you go.
But yeah, the Mets rotation could go down as one of the best starting rotations, top 10 in the history of the game, maybe top 5, if they live up to their.
Well, they got to play the games, right? That's what they got to do. They got to start playing next week.
And there is some age involved there,
a little bit. So, but I mean, you got to look at it for this year. So you go this year, and you go from there. So,
that's all you can do.
That's it. All right. I think we're good with baseball. What do you guys think? Pete, you got anything else? Harry,
nope,
you got anything?
That's it.
Nope, absolutely not.
Let's move into a little NFL football. There's a couple things going on, and there's breaking news. Literally right now, just broke by Harry. Harry, kick it off. Kick us off with the NFL breaking news right now, please.
Breaking NFL news: Bruce Arians is stepping down after 3 seasons as the Buccaneers coach and will take on a new role in the team's front office. Todd Bowles has been promoted to head coach. Can the NFL get any stranger? I really think what this tells me is that Arians was going to do this no matter what, and was content after Brady retired for 3 weeks. And this to me is a strange move, and I think it's going to have ramifications for the Bucs.
I agree. Although, I mean,
I like Todd Bowles, don't get me wrong, but I think Arians was a big reason why he's an interesting and a unique coach, and he was able to sort of stitch together both the younger players and the veteran players on this team. But let's face it, the offensive coordinator is going to be Tom Brady, and Todd Bowles will be his head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and run the defense. So
obviously, yeah. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator and is now the head coach.
Well, basically, yeah, that's it. Basically, they technically at that point don't have a head coach per se. They have a defensive coordinator and Tom Brady running the team. So,
well, I mean, it's interesting who's going to bump up to. I guess it would be they're already their offensive coordinator. Right. But this surprise does this surprise you guys at all? It surprises me a little bit.
It surprises me. It does. I would have thought that Brady would have came back. Arians, I had no clue it was even a thought there. It was even a possibility. But I would have thought that Arians would have stayed another year with Brady coming back and see if they could do it again. And if they don't, they don't. And then they both go off and retire. Brady made it to 45 playing football, starting football at 45 years old, like he wanted to do. Arians got another shot at another ring. I mean, they were right there in the mix last year. Got another shot at another ring, and if they get it, they get it. If they don't, off to the sunset. Done. Okay. That kind of.
So
thing.
There has
give
to
it to Todd
be
Bowles enough from there.
There has to be some sort of something between the two of them, right?
What do you mean?
For this to happen,
right?
Tom Brady comes back and then Arians quits.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. That's what bewilders me.
I mean, maybe Arians didn't want to coach Tom Brady anymore.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think Bruce Arians has nothing but the utmost respect for Tom Brady. And I think Bruce Arians would be the first person to admit that he probably wouldn't have a Super Bowl championship if it wasn't for Tom Brady.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't disagree with either of those statements. But
I think what it was that Arians was probably leaning towards doing this, and that the Brady retirement made it a lot easier. And then when Brady decided to come back, I think Arians probably weighed it and said, I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
So
thought about it and said, screw it, I'm just doing it. But like you said too, Arians isn't going anywhere. He's moving to the front office. So he's
moving to
the
the front office. He's not retiring. He's going to be involved. But it's. I think he was.
It's not the grind of
right.
being a head coach of
Right.
an NFL team. So
it tells me that he was already leading towards this.
Right.
I think one of them didn't really want to work that much with the other one for whatever reason. Not that they're enemies or hate each other. I'm just saying maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something that rubs somebody the wrong way.
Let me ask you a question. Who was set to be Tampa Bay's starting quarterback before Tom Brady came back? Nobody. They hadn't
named one.
That was what was leading to this.
So you think Bruce Arians was like, forget it. I'm going from Tom Brady to some scrub. Fucking, I'm out.
Right.
I think probably he was leaning that way and was probably.
I mean, he's already in Florida. Retirement wise.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to. I don't think Tom Brady is going to drive any coach to say, you know what, I just can't deal with this guy.
Why wouldn't he just announce it after Tom Brady announced his retirement?
I think the timing was. I think it was probably pushed a little bit because of Brady coming back. My guess is that this decision was probably already made.
How long was Tom Brady retired?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
It was longer than that.
4 or 5, no more than that though. Right? It was right in there.
So what was Bruce Arians waiting for? He was thinking about retiring. Tom Brady's going. He's like, all right, that's it. I'm going to move into the front office.
Maybe he was thinking about it. Maybe he was thinking about it, and maybe he literally was thinking about it. And you never know. Maybe he actually was about to announce that he was going to retire, and then Brady announced that he was.
I think it was timing. I think he wanted to wait. He wanted to give Brady. I think it was just waiting to give the news some time to settle down.
Right. Let the Brady news settle down, and then all of a sudden he's going to announce, and then all of a sudden Brady says he's back.
Of course, Pete's going to turn this into somebody that doesn't want to play with Tom Brady. Again.
Or Tom Brady doesn't want to play for somebody.
601.
Maybe Tom Brady goes, I don't know, Bruce Arians, I love the guy, but maybe he's not the right guy to get another championship.
I don't know.
Is Todd Bowles? Does that mean Tom Brady thinks Todd Bowles?
I don't think
Tom Brady
in this situation, I don't think it worked out better for Arians than it did for Brady.
No.
Sure.
Tom Brady's not going to come back and push a head coach out. That's just not the case.
I don't buy that either. I don't. I think that
I think part of why Brady went to Tampa
a good dialogue,
because
but
of Bruce Arians.
Yeah, he did. That's true. He did go down there because of the team that they had
I think
assembled.
He was the
and Bruce
right
Arians was
coach. Arians is a bit of a hands-off guy on certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
What I liked that Arians did is he was a good big picture guy, and I think he was able to really bring that offense together with a lot of egos involved. So I don't think Todd Bowles is that guy, but we'll see. We shall see.
We shall.
But pretty big news coming out of Tampa Bay. One other quick thing on a more positive side, I guess, is that as expected, it's official now. Shaheen Holloway becomes the new head coach of Seton Hall.
There you go. And that's breaking football news.
That's breaking news. Yeah, I mean, sticking into little columns here is.
I know. But you knew that was going to happen, though. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't expect it to happen this quick, though. I thought they would have waited until after the tournament was over.
No.
Make an announcement. But I guess it doesn't matter if they're out of it. They're out of it, and Seton Hall's out of it longer. So, yeah, I suppose.
Well, we'll see how many of those guys that are still eligible to play more head over to Seton Hall.
Head over to Seton Hall, yeah. But and then there's I did read something that Holloway said that his replacement's going to be his bench coach or whatever it was. He's gonna stick to the program there, and it's gonna eliminate a lot of other bigger schools poaching some of these guys.
Sure.
So now, if that's the case, Seton Hall's a bigger school. They're not going to poach these guys either. That's what.
They're not as big as many others.
Well, true. Yeah.
I mean, look, Shaheen Holloway turned down Duke to go to Seton Hall. So I mean, that's his alma mater.
Yeah, but it's where he went, right? So, anyway, all right. A couple other football notes, if you will. I don't know if either of you heard, but NFL announcing yesterday that both teams in the playoffs only both teams will get the ball, period. Doesn't matter who scores what, whatever.
At the
Both
same
teams-
time, actually.
At the same time. Two offenses will be
Two
on the
offenses
field.
and two defenses will be on the field at the same
Start
time.
on the 20 on each
That's
side
right.
of the field.
Opposite ends. And
Whoever scores first.
That's right. There'll be two balls and go. No field goals allowed.
Let's say two passes thrown in the air and
That's
they
right.
hit each other.
You can knock them out. That's right. One
So,
ball.
That's
yeah.
the tactic. That's a tactical maneuver. You know,
That's
instead
right.
of throwing the ball to a receiver that may or may not catch it, throw the ball to knock the other ball
It's
out.
like a Scud missile.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in any event, So in overtime, in overtime in the playoffs only, starting this year, both teams will get the ball. So even if the other team
At
scores
least
a touchdown,
one possession, right?
at least one possession. Both
And then
teams,
it-
even if
and
the
then
other
it's
team
sudden.
scores a touchdown, the other team still gets it. But then after that, if the other
sudden
team
death.
doesn't score a touchdown, game's over, right?
Right. If they do and tie
do,
it, then it's sudden death.
Then it is, yeah, exactly, right. Then so they at least get one possession each.
I mean, why only in the playoffs?
Basically, devaluing defenses is what they're really doing, because the object is, okay, your offense is going out first. All right, put a good defense on the field and stop them.
Well, they've been devaluing defenses for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So wait, so how do we decide who wins?
They just
Whichever
keep
whichever
playing
team-
until the first team gets tired.
Yeah,
Here you go. It says forget it.
that's
I want
right.
this.
It's a
So team A
50-minute
gets the ball,
overtime.
they score a touchdown. Team B gets the ball, they score a touchdown. We
Right.
just keep
First
going.
team.
Then-
It's like the All-Star game. First team to 185 wins.
Right, exactly. No, it becomes sudden death overtime at that point. So both teams get the ball first. If it's still tied after whether neither team scores, they both score a field goal or they both score a touchdown.
Why in the playoffs, though?
So who gets the ball to start the
Still flipping the
period?
flipping the
Still
coin.
a coin.
So they flip a coin again.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean again? They always have flipped
in
the
over.
coin
They
in
always flip the
overtime.
coin in overtime.
No, I'm saying the game ends in a tie,
Right.
right? They're gonna.
Mhm.
How do they decide who gets the ball first?
Same as the ways they've always have. They flip a coin to start overtime.
Right.
Okay, so then team A scores a touchdown, team B scores a touchdown. Now it's going to be sudden death.
Right.
They flip another coin to see.
No. The team A gets the ball
original
again.
team gets
Oh,
it back
okay.
again.
They go back to the other way, and then at that point it becomes
Right.
yeah. So basically, this way they both get a turn in overtime, and then it can go to the original meaning of overtime in the NFL anyway. So yeah, there you go.
Okay,
That's what it is.
I guess that's better.
What are you gonna do? Giants wise, Joe Shane said that he's not shopping Saquon Barkley, as a lot of rumors out there are floating around. That
Yeah,
he's
that
actually
was
looking
after
to
he
trade.
said we're open to anything.
We're open to anything. He's not open to trading Barkley now. Giants picked up 5 O linemen in the last couple of weeks, so that's actually good for them. But
All offensive linemen that are over 40 years old and have been dropped by all other teams.
they picked them up. They got them. So.
Uh-huh.
Well, they figure they can load a lot of them out on the field.
That's right. They picked
Just
them
pile
up.
them up, and then they have to run around them. So it
Picked them up in a front loader and took them to
Exactly.
Giants Stadium.
Right. And then the only other thing on the Giants, really quick, is that they signed international running back Sandro Platzgummer.
International superstar.
Yeah, international running back Sandro Platzgummer.
Who was he playing for?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
sure
going deep
everybody-
here, folks. I think let's,
No, I just wanted it was the name. I had to say the name. Yeah, I figured we would go somewhere with that. Sandro Platzgummer,
Nice.
the new Giant star. So anyway, all right, that's really all I got. Oh, and the Bills announced that they signed a new 30-year deal with the town to build a $1.4 billion stadium in Orchard Park, and it will not be a dome by any means. It will be an outdoor football
They're gonna make that
Buffalo
mistake
type
again.
stadium. Yeah, in other words, they're gonna still play in the
Gonna
ship.
have an outdoor stadium in Buffalo. Another one. Yeah.
Another one. Yeah, a $1.4 billion outdoor stadium.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean,
For that much money, put a roof on it, though.
Yeah, right.
what fan base are bigger masochists, Buffalo or Cleveland?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's good. That's a good
Buffalo-
question. That's a good question.
I would say
Buffalo-
Cleveland. At least they got an NBA championship.
There you go.
At least they have an NBA team.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buffalo's, I mean, I don't think the people in Buffalo would have approved it if it was a dome.
Well, they got the Bills and the Sabres. That's all they got in Buffalo. So
they do have the habit trails at the University of Buffalo, so you don't have to go outside in the
habit trails.
Subtropic.
Wasn't that what you used to put the hamsters in back in the day?
That's what you used to put hamsters in.
Yeah, habit trail.
Habit trail. Yeah. Anyway, you guys have anything on football?
Oh God, no.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Oh. I'm gonna watch the Nuggets game.
So, speaking of people who's in football who say things that maybe they might have tempered first, who loves Jim Irsay, the Colts owner? Talking about why they moved on from Carson Wentz.
Here's
the quote. I love this. I think the worst thing you can do is have a mistake and try to keep living with it going forward. For us, it was something we had to move away from as a franchise. It was very obvious. End quote. That's not mincing words.
No, that was a bad marriage, and he couldn't wait to get the divorce finalized.
But they won the divorce. They won it. They came out ahead of the game with a better quarterback for less money and better draft picks.
Well,
how do you make out better than that?
I actually think it's kind of a little classless. Look, we all know what Carson Wentz is. You don't have to say this. There comes a time.
He didn't really say he sucks. He says it was a bad marriage. He said it was a mistake.
But he said you couldn't wait to get on with it. My thought to this is there's a bunch of other guys that have probably been signed in the last couple of years who are thinking, does he think the same thing about me? So I don't think it's good for morale. I don't think it's good for for the team, and I think he needs to keep his mouth shut.
Right.
It's on.
I mean, say what you want, but I think for the team's sake, I think it's better if he doesn't. You don't have to beat a dead horse. We all know what Carson went. I mean, I thought it was a mistake when they signed him, but
Well, let me throw a little bit more at you because that wasn't all he said.
They've been plugging the hole at quarterback for a number of years now since Andrew Luck left.
He was talking about not making the playoffs and the final week loss to Jacksonville. So here's the quote. I don't know if you guys read this or not, but no respect to Jacksonville, but I mean they're the worst team in the league. You play well and hard for the first quarter or so, and they're looking to go to their locker room and clean it out. I've never seen anything like that in my life. You say, my God, there's something wrong here. It needs to be corrected. I feel that we feel like we did.
The video montage during this story this morning on ESPN was nothing but Carson Wentz
fumbling,
basically flicking the ball into the other team's hands while getting shellacked. I mean, it was like they must have had this geared up and ready to come at any moment because it was just clip after clip after clip, especially from those games towards the end of the season. And it was just like a great music video.
All right, here's one more. Your guy's got to pick you up and carry you through Jacksonville. He has to do it. Not an option, has to. No excuses, no explanations. I mean, that's just.
Well, Irsay,
I think him when he's dead, and listen, he's not wrong, but man, oh man, those are unminced words right there.
I mean, if there's any team that's willing to always say, "Hey, we're in. This is what we're doing for right now." I think it's the Colts because they've with Phillip Rivers and then with Wentz, and now with getting rid of Wentz. They really do think that they have a chance to win right now. And they're not looking long term. They're not rebuilding. They're not, let's give them another year to see how shitty he is. Good for them. I mean, I applaud Irsay and I applaud the Colts. I wish a team in New York had the same sort of short leash.
The Jets?
The Jets have a quarterback.
Right.
So, maybe.
Well, Giants do too.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if Daniel Jones goes down, then he'll play.
Yes, that's right. I knew that was coming to set you up at that one.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. But no, I keep talking about Daniel Jones. We keep busting chops, and we all know how you feel about him, Harry. But yes, of course you do. But I believe that there's a possibility, just an outside shot, we might see something interesting this year. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just an outside shot possibility that we might see something, especially if the moves that they made with the O-line and whatever they're going to pull out of the draft with the O-line, in front of them actually building some form of an actual formidable O-line in front of them. I think we might see something. If we don't, Taylor's there. You take some draft capital. You get a good pick next year. You got Taylor for another year. Bing, bang, boom. You do what you do, and there you go. But obviously, Barkley's gone by that point. But
Colin Cowherd had an interesting take that caused some stir, especially with Cowboys Nation, where he said that you'd have to flip a coin to pick the best quarterback in the NFC East between Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Would that be like a two-headed coin?
Mm-hmm.
He ranks Wentz slightly ahead of Prescott with, of course, Jalen Hurts third and
Jones fourth.
Bobby Jones fourth.
Well, listen. You guys probably maybe only have to wait a year, and then again, you might have a shot at Lamar Jackson.
That would be fine.
So listen, this is his final year in Baltimore, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been some talk about, he might be leaving, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Jackson tweeted the other day, "I love my Ravens. I don't know who the hell putting that false narrative out that I'm having thoughts about leaving. Stop trying to read my mind." Now, the team owner, Steve Biscotti, said, Jackson's lack of urgency in getting a long-term contract done is, and I quote, unique as hell because everybody expects you to say, I've got to get mine now.
Right.
So, listen, we all know money talks, right? We've all seen plenty of players in plenty of sports talk about how much they love a particular place and blah, 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 and then go somewhere else because there's just more money involved.
Right.
So I don't know. Is Lamar Jackson saying the right things? I love it here. I don't want to leave.
If Lamar Jackson leaves Baltimore, where do you think the Giants would rank on his teams? That
that's I don't want to. I don't want to get into that. I just obviously. No, I agree. I'm not seriously saying all you got to do is wait a year and Lamar Jackson's going to fall here. But I'm saying if you really love Baltimore,
the better teams out there already have a quarterback that they're not getting rid of.
True,
right.
But
so,
the Colts will be available for a quarterback.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's right.
But then he's going to look at that situation and say, "I can go there for a year and then move on somewhere else."
If he really loves Baltimore and wants to stay there, why aren't you getting the deal done? I don't know.
Well, who knows? I think he's waiting for this quarterback frenzy to. Now's the time. I mean, he would probably break the record. If he was able to re-sign with Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know that the Giants could afford him next year.
No, the Giants couldn't afford him. And look, I do think though that should Daniel Jones continue to play the way he is, and should the Giants, even if they do show, especially if they show some improvement with the offensive line, and they could get a top-notch quarterback to even show interest in the Giants, I think that signing a veteran quarterback is going to be much better than trying to find someone in the draft and groom them. The Giants do not have a long record, unless it's really obvious, of drafting quarterbacks.
Right. In the last 50 years, they've drafted two quarterbacks that were able to be groomed and long-term quarterbacks. Two.
And one was the most obvious pick, and they had to do some
some trade and wheeling and dealing to do it.
And
the other one was not an obvious pick because they could have had Joe Montana that went in the second round when they picked Phil Simms, number 7 overall. Yeah. So, but whatever. But actually go back 60 years. Before you can, because I don't understand the Lamar
Fran
Tarkenton was a good quarterback for the Giants, but he wasn't a draft. He was
right.
Yeah. So you go back 60 years with that. But anyway, all right. Anything else on football?
Do you guys know that Juju Smith-Schuster is only 25 years old?
Yes, Juju Smith-Schuster.
I thought he was around longer than that.
Yeah, 25.
Of course, he's going to the Chiefs. That's a great move for him.
Yeah.
They
needed to replace Tyreek Hill. So.
I think the Chiefs are going to be fine, and I don't think they're done. Maybe, and look, they have some draft capital. They might be able to get. You're not going to replace Tyreek Hill, much like you're not going to replace Devonta Adams. But this is a chance for some of those other players on the Chiefs to step up and become a number one.
Very true. Yeah, that is true. They can do that. They got a good quarterback to help them get there. So
yeah.
All right, one more question for you. Well, nah, never mind. I'll leave Sid Wilson out of it. Did you guys know? I do have another question though. Did you guys know that there's a professional women's tackle football league in this country?
I've been playing in it for 12 years.
I thought I recognized you under center.
That's right.
yeah.
Did you realize that?
It's not the lingerie bowl, is it? You're not talking
No.
about that one, right?
No.
This is
I did know that. Tell me if other than that, I don't know anything. But I did know.
Yeah.
I did know that.
the U.S. Women's Tackle Football League.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's I don't know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Bunch of teams. Their season starts in April. Actually,
Okay.
you should check it out.
Yeah. And when does
The
the USFL starts in a couple of weeks too, right?
WNFC starts, I think, April 1st. And they recently
WNFC,
had-
Women's National Football
Confederation.
Confederation
Federation?
Company,
I don't know.
conglomerate,
Conference.
conference.
WNFC.
Alrighty. WNFC.
Women's National Football Conference. As a matter of fact, they just had tryouts
WNFC.
a couple of weeks ago to put together
107 on your dial, number one in your hearts.
a 45 person roster to go to Finland and compete in the international women's football championships.
The Finnish women's football team. Now that's
There's international teams gathering in Finland to have sort of this global cup, a World Cup, if you will.
That's where they're going to
And,
finish the season.
Ha!
All right.
So anyway, like I said, I think the season starts. Let's take a look at the schedule here. Season starts
Is it concurrent with the USFL? So
April 2nd.
oh wow,
And-
this Saturday.
Yeah.
Televised
Yeah.
games? I actually want to watch one of these. I actually want to do it.
Let's see. You can watch games on Vyre, which is VYRE. I don't know what that is.
That's their
I
own
thought you were
app
going to
that
say
they-
Hulu or something, but yeah.
No,
Vyre.
I don't know what
It's
Vyre
their own
is.
app that they own for the broadcast of the WNFC.
WNFC.
Well, listen, they got a bunch of teams. Vyre, the art of streaming culture. Watch thousands of TV shows and movies. There we go.
Vyre.
True Mag TV, unnecessary humor, live sports, R&B Mag TV, international channels, and more available for free. Stream now. Yeah, there you go.
free?
Vyre.tv, folks.
Vyre.
Go check it out.
And it's a free download. It's advertising based.
It says available for free.
All right.
Let's see.
Might
They got
have to do that.
apps. You get available for Roku. You can get it on Google Play, Apple TV, the Amazon App Store, and the Apple App Store. There we go.
Vyre. So VIRE or VYRE?
VYRE.
VYRE. VY.
The R is backwards, but you don't have to type it that way.
Yeah, my keyboard doesn't type it backwards. All right, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'm gonna check this out there because I'm very interested to see what the game is like. I mean,
I want to see it too.
Tackle football.
All joking aside, I want to watch it. I want to see
Well,
it.
the first game is the Michigan Queens versus the Huntsville Tigers.
There you go.
Michigan Queens versus the Huntsville Tigers.
Yes. Then we have the
You got the Alabama Fire, the Atlanta
Reapers,
Phoenix,
the Fierce, the Virginia
Denver
Lady
Bandits,
Gators,
Lady Gators,
the
the
River
Kansas City
Sting.
Glory,
Kansas City Glory.
the Houston Heat, the Florida Avengers, the Las Vegas Silver Stars,
Maybe I'm looking at a different league than you are.
the Mississippi Panthers.
Interesting.
Wow. This is crazy.
WNFC.
I had no idea that this existed.
Well, there's also the
teams.
Women's Tackle Football League, the WTFL.
WTFL.
Oh,
WTFL.
so there's two.
So
Yeah, there's more than
two.
one.
There's the WNFC and the WTFL.
And their schedule starts on April 2nd too.
Wow. See,
Wow.
they need to merge.
Do you have the Michigan Queens or the Huntsville Tigers in your
No, I have the Philly Phantoms with a Z.
Yeah, no, we've got
Phoenix,
competing
Oregon.
leagues
So
here.
there's
two
whole-
leagues, two
Wow.
women's tackle football leagues beginning
West
on the
Palm
same-
Beach Coyotes, the Huntsville Tigers. Yeah, we've got competing leagues. I don't know who the Reapers are. This website is horrible.
1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it's about a 6-game season.
Yeah.
It runs through the middle of May.
This website for this has an area for player registration. So, Pete, sign up.
I'm in.
You want to play? Let's go. The three of us. Let's go. Pick a team. Let's go.
Kick my ass.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they'll kick all of our asses.
The pain that I can only imagine what I would feel.
All right. Well, there you go.
Right, so
there you go.
So there's your homework assignment, audience.
So WNFC and WTFL. We need to work on.
Write that down.
Wonder if they play each other in the championship.
I think they should. Right, like an NFL,
right.
AFL.
Absolutely.
I think that's great. That would be the super. Never mind.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing. Let it go.
Yeah, you got quiet there. Did you?
Were you about
yourself?
to say something sexist?
Not at all. Read your prep
Who do
chat.
you think the sponsor of the championship game would be? All right. Anyway,
I'm thinking of the what were those? Was it oh God, I can't remember what it with Will Art. Maybe it was Saturday Night Live. It was
Will
Saturday
Arnett?
Night Live. Yeah, not Will Arnett, but Will. Who was the McGruber guy?
Will Forte.
Will Forte. They always did women's sports, and it was on ESPN on the Ocho, and it was always
right.
brought to you by. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway. All right. Fine. There we go. All right. We good?
Good.
Football.
Yep.
All right. Good.
Actually, I was just going to say congratulations to Sed Wilson, who's leaving the Cowboys to go to the Dolphins, where he'll play behind Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and who knows, maybe Devontae Parker.
And maybe Devontae Parker. I don't think Devontae Parker's going anywhere. So,
Right.
So he'll be fourth tier receiver there.
Right. So.
Oh, righty.
He was a number
735.
All right, there we go.
All right.
I just thought that was a lateral move.
No, it was. Definitely was. I would imagine so.
NFC to the AFC.
All right.
We have a quiz?
Let's do. Let's kick it off basketball. One more. We finish up the basketball.
We're not going to do more basketball top 10s?
We can do more basketball top 10s. Yeah. We can. Yeah, we did. But I'm gonna. We'll A/B it right then with going into baseball season with the quizzes. We never did quizzes last year, but this will be the final. Right now, maybe we'll do another one towards the playoffs and the championship. But right now, tonight's quiz is NBA teams, but ranges of teams. So you'll get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
Shoot.
4 got to stay. 2 got to go. Here we go. Write these down. Here we go. Mm-hmm. The 60s Lakers. The 60s Celtics. The 80s Lakers. The 80s Celtics. There's a pattern here.
The 90s.
The 90s Bulls. And the 2000s Lakers. There you go. 60s Lakers, 60s Celtics, 80s Lakers, 80s Celtics, 90s Bulls, and 2000s Lakers. Yes, 4. Pick 4 of them. Pick 4. Get rid of 2. That's easy. Go for it. Pete?
I'll just get rid of the 60s teams because I don't know anything about them.
Oh, God. Just
get
rid of the first one and the last one. You got the right answer.
Yeah, definitely get rid of the 60s Lakers. And fuck the 80s Lakers. I hate the Lakers. There we go.
All right.
After a deep evaluation.
Well, you should have seen my food breakdown. You would have appreciated it.
I'm sure.
I put more thought and effort into that than any of this stupid team stuff.
Oh, that was actually really good. We got
nice. There was a spreadsheet.
I was looking up pictures on the internet and seeing what toppings were.
There you go.
We really did that one up.
Listen, when you get in my wheelhouse, I can be very engaged.
Well, this is a sports podcast. So.
Right.
Yeah, well,
it's all
Look, all great teams. I think you got to go 60s Celtics, 80s Lakers and Celtics, and 90s Bulls. Those are the 4 best.
Wait, say it again?
You get a 60s Celtics, all 4 right in the middle. 60s Celtics, both 80s Lakers and Celtics, and the 90s Bulls. The 2000 Lakers and the 60s Lakers. 2000 Lakers, they won a few championships. They did not have the competition that those other teams did. True. The 90s Bulls, maybe other than the 60s Celtics, probably the greatest dynasty. 60s Lakers were good, but they just didn't necessarily dominate as much as those other teams. So, 80s Lakers Celtics, one of the best rivalries ever, and those 80s Lakers and Celtics teams were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
90s Bulls, I'll give it to them, even though it pains me. And those 60s Celtics teams, you're
not getting better than that, right there.
You're not getting better than that. That's actually it. Mm-hmm. The 60s Lakers were good. They just and into the 70s, they did win a championship finally with Wilt, but they were not as, the 70s Lakers. I think they probably had that 60s team rolled over into the early 70s and probably had more success. Yeah. But tough one. But I'm gonna stick by what I said.
There you go. All right. Very good, sir. All right. Do we want to let's talk a little NBA? Or you want to go through the top?
Let's do the top 10 because yeah.
Well, let's go through it and then we can talk a little NBA and then we're finished. We wrap it up. All right. So tonight, after that quiz, tonight's top 10 list, and of course it hasn't been a top 10 list. It's top basketball team. So top first team, second team, top Denver Nuggets of all time, as if you didn't know from what I'm wearing. Top Denver Nuggets of all time. Currently not their current uniform. It's their throwback, if you will, but one of the last ones. And, of course, we have the first team, second team, and our bench as well. So here we go. We're going to kick it off with the first team. I just want to do one thing here. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. Cool. Kicking off the first team, our point guard, we have Mr. Lafayette Fat Lever. Mr. Fat, if you will. What did you say? Fatty Fat? Fatty Fat Fat? Fatty Fat Fat
It's
Lever?
the most ironic nickname maybe ever in
yeah, really.
street sports.
Exactly. So there you go. Our starting shooting guard is Mr. David Thompson.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
David O'Neal Thompson.
Yeah.
There we go.
Career got cut short, but
Skywalker.
Man, there were some good twos in those days.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. Skywalker. Number 3, and probably one of the best Nuggets of all time, Mr. Alexander English.
He is the best Nugget of all time.
Yeah, he was
for now.
One spot
at the moment.
Yeah,
right.
A lot of the list that I saw.
Sure, absolutely. Then we got coming in our starting first team power forward is Mr. Carmelo Anthony. Still playing. Carmelo Kayam Anthony. Still playing on the Lakers, obviously. But was on the Nuggets for, 8 seasons, 9 seasons?
8.
8, yeah. And there you go. And, of course, our starting center on the first team would be Nikola Jokic.
MVP. The only Nuggets ever win an MVP, and now maybe 2 in a row.
I'm thinking
Missed
it's a
triple-double again tonight by 1.
Oh, really?
He is 2 behind Wilt Chamberlain for all-time triple-doubles by a center.
Yeah, he's such a disciplined center. Really, really is. The Joker. So there you go. So you guys want to talk about any of those players?
I mean, this is a powerful starting team.
Yeah,
it really is.
They're all pretty good.
Lever, Thompson, English, Anthony, and Jokic. Absolutely.
I think the Nuggets suffer, other than Carmelo, I think the Nuggets suffer a lot of these players from, not necessarily getting the national attention they do. But when you talk about Fat Lever and some of the others that are going to be on the second team, look, David Thompson, career got cut short, but when you look at a league that when he did play with Alex English, it was one of the most dynamic 1-2 scoring punches you've ever seen in basketball. Mm-hmm. And Alex English, maybe the most unknown player who is the best basketball player in the history of any franchise. You name any other franchise, people can probably tell you at least who the number 1, 2, or 3 best player of all time is. Alex English was phenomenal. It's just that the Nuggets never really broke through in the playoffs, and they played at a time when, they were on later on national, television broadcasts, and they just didn't get the exposure that you now get nationally with every team. Mm-hmm. But Alex English is arguably one of the best small forwards ever played the game. Top 5, I would argue at that position ever. I snuck Carmelo in at a power forward. I cheated a little bit. I just couldn't see him on the second team. He did sort of play, especially early on with Denver, as more of a 4. They didn't really have a traditional 4 or a traditional 5 for a lot of Melo's time here. And he was much more of a post player. So I justified it that way. But look, Alex English and Carmelo Anthony, really quickly. Alex English points per game, 25.9 in the playoffs, 26.1. Melo, 24.8, 24.5. Alex English rebounds, 5.6. What did he average in the playoffs? 5.6. And he averaged a little over 4.5 assists per game. Melo's rebounds actually went up in the playoffs, 7.1 compared to 6.3. And he averaged 3.1 and 3. They both had incredible careers with the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And they're both two of the best. Say what you will about Carmelo Anthony. He's right up there. I mean, I think right now, when it's all said and done, he might fall to number 3 or 4, but he was certainly one of the top 2 players in the history of this franchise. And I think Jokic is probably going to push both of them down the list, hopefully, if he stays healthy. Mm-hmm. He's the only Nugget to ever win an MVP award, and hopefully the front office can get him a little bit of help, because I do think that he's the kind of player who, if he has the right people next to him, can win a championship.
There you go. All right. Shall we move on to the Pete, you have anything on this?
Quite a list.
That's quite a list, definitely. Great team.
These guys are all pretty sick players, no question.
We got to do, when we're finished with all of these, whatever the last week we're doing these teams are, we actually got to pull them back up and look at just the first teams. Look at the first teams of every list we've done.
Oh, God.
And rank them. That's what we need to do.
Jimmy, get on that.
So, yeah. All right. Moving on to the second team, starting at point guard, would be Mr. Chauncey Billups.
Denver boy. Park Hill.
Chauncey Ray Billups. Right there, yeah. Mr. Big Shot. Moving on to our shooting guard would be Ralph Simpson. Ralph Derrick Simpson, to be exact. Then we have, for our small forward, Mr. Kiki Vandeweghe. And how did you put it before? Vanderwagger Krzyzewski Wayway?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that, right? But Ernest Maurice Vandeweghe, actually. Of course, our power forward is Mr.
You can understand why he went with Kiki.
Of course. Ernest Maurice. Ernie, come here. Power forward, Antonio McDyess. Antonio Keeflin. One word, Keeflin. A TH and an F next to each other in that middle name. Keith Flynn McDyess. And, of course, our second team center is Mr. Dan Issel.
Issel.
Issel. I always said Issel. Sorry.
It's not a
My
cell?
bad. I apologize, Daniel. Daniel Paul Issel. There you go. It's not a cell. No, it's not. A lot of people, even to this day, a lot of people have Dan Issel over Jokic as the better center. I mean,
Issel's played, although Jokic is catching up pretty quickly here. Issel, I think, is second all time in games played for the Nuggets. So he was an overachiever, that's for sure, at that position. And Dan Issel's a phenomenal player. If it wasn't for Jokic, I mean, for years and years and years, Issel was always right there behind Alex English as far as the top Nuggets of all time. I think Chauncey Billups is a popular pick here in Denver because he's from Denver. I think he had a couple really good years with Denver. His best years were obviously with the Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael Adams was a much better point guard when you're comparing Chauncey's time in Denver and Adams' time in Denver. But I'm not going to argue with Chauncey. I mean, he's one of the most popular Nuggets of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And, had we not set a precedent of saying, hey, you had to be here 3 years, there's another guard that would probably fall into the best point guard of all time for the Nuggets,
mm-hmm.
in Mr. Allen Iverson. So
Iverson,
yeah, who had
2.5
really good years here. So
of all the ones, there was a couple last week that we talked about that were just missing it for the Nets. Iverson probably played more games for the Nuggets than those guys played for the Nets.
Right.
It was closer to 3 seasons, but just
he came in halfway through one, played one full one, and then obviously, left after that. But
I think I saw like his listing was like 3 games he played in that third season. So if you got
it was an early
halfway
trade.
there, it would have been under consideration at least, but not with 3.
I think had Iverson come 1, maybe 2 years earlier into his career, I think that Nuggets team with him and Carmelo go way deeper into the playoffs and maybe could beat the Lakers.
No, that is pretty much a given. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But those were exciting times. I remember that trade, and Walter Davis, also a guy who played a couple seasons and had put up pretty big numbers as he did all his career with Denver, kind of goes forgotten. But yeah.
There you go. All right. We'll move on to our reserves, our bench. We're going to kick it off with Mr. Dikembe Mutombo. Let me get this straight, though. Dikembe Mutombo, Polando, Mukamba, Jean-Jacques Mutombo.
Rivera.
That's his name. That's his full name. There you go. I gotta love that. So there you go. Dikembe.
Maybe the most memorable moment in
drafted by the Nuggets.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that I guess it would have been 93 or 94 team that beat an 8th seed that beat the Sonics, the number 1 seed, first time it ever happened. Mm-hmm. That moment was probably top 5, maybe 6 moments in Denver sports history, I think. So I think Dikembe gets bumped down only because of Jokic's rise here, but one of the best Nuggets of all time. Nuggets have had a lot of really interesting centers. They've, other than Jokic, Issel was really the only one who scored and rebounded and was putting up big numbers. They've had a lot of people like Mutombo, and then after him, Marcus Camby. And for a long while there, they had a lot of guys who were good defensively. Mutombo's a much better defensive player than Camby, but they were similar in that it was basically defense and rebounds.
Right. Definitely.
Agreed. Yeah, Camby had some good years for the Nuggets.
Camby had a few good years for the Nuggets.
Camby developed a little bit of an odd mid-range game with the Nuggets, and he was a great off-ball defender, especially when Nene played for the Nuggets, because a lot of times they would flip-flop on the defensive side, and it would allow Camby to be kind of an off-ball defender, which is where he excelled at.
Right.
But he did have a number of good years. And then Kenyon Martin, too.
Sure.
The Nuggets front court has been filled with a lot of people who were, kind of great role players and good defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Jones, people like that.
Well, there you go. Speaking of that, next person on our bench is Bobby Jones right there.
He's second. He's the first person to make 2 lists, right?
He's the whatchamacallit, just last week and the week before, or 2 weeks before.
Wilt?
Dr. J.
Oh, Dr. J. That's right.
He had Philly and
the connection, the ABA to NBA connection.
There you go. So Bobby Jones. And then we also have Michael Adams, who you were just speaking about as well.
Kind of a forgotten nugget.
A forgotten nugget of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, a little forgotten nugget.
Little forgotten nuggets. And to round it all out, T.R. Dunn.
Again, a great great player who's often forgotten, but played a lot of years and was a great defensive player as well.
There you go.
That those reserves, man, mixed with that second team would cause be really hard to score against.
This is true. All right. Well, that brings us to the time of the evening when we talk about old balls. Old balls. Harry, tell us who this week's old balls recipient is, please.
This week's old balls recipient is none other than Mr. Byron Beck. I had to pick Byron Beck. I mean, when you talk about Denver, this is a guy who was a 6'9" forward center from the University of Denver. And Beck was one of 9 players who played and participated in all 9 seasons of the original American Basketball Association. He played for the Denver Rockets, obviously, who later became the Denver Nuggets. Look, he was the original. Who's the Lakers? Kurt Rambis. He was original Kurt Rambis.
Kurt Rambis. Yeah.
You know, this guy was not blessed with any sort of vertical jump or athleticism at all, but he was a hell of a player, and he had over 8,600 career points and 5,261 career rebounds, and retired in 1977. He became the first player in the Denver franchise to have his jersey retired. So there you go. A guy from Washington came to Denver, played for, at the time, a relatively small school in the University of Denver, especially for its basketball program. Mm-hmm. Denver Rocket, Denver Nuggets, 2-time ABA All-Star, and the first Denver Nuggets uniform to ever be retired, Mr. Byron Beck.
This week's old balls. Old balls. All right. Quick little trivia for you. TR Dunn. What's TR stand for?
Tobias Redding.
Don't Google it.
I don't know. Tough
rudder.
Rough Ned. Tough Rough Ned.
Tough Ned.
Tommy.
He was the original Rough Ned.
There you go.
Tommy Roberts.
Nope.
I don't know. T.
He walked. He walked tall and carried a big stick.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Really?
Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt Dunn. Yep.
That's big shoes to fill.
There you go.
He was, yeah. He's about the same height as Teddy.
There you go. So, all right. One thing I just want to ask you guys on the Knicks, and then we can talk about some other stuff if you wish. What do you think they should trade Randall at this point?
For what?
Just to get rid of him. I mean, the other night. I mean did you watch that Bulls win? That was good on Monday night, right? That Bulls win. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Here's Randall's.
I actually watched probably the last.
That was a great game. Really was a great game. Here's Randall's stats from that game. 28 minutes.
He didn't have a good game. Yeah.
5 points.
He had a horrible shooting game.
1 for 9 in field goals. 0 for 4 3 points. 13 rebounds. 4 assists. 3 turnovers. Did you see him smack the ball down like he just lost the game himself after they won? After the game, what's going on with this guy?
I mean, it's he's still the best player in the Knicks, and the question: do you trade him? Sure, if you could get something that's going to be better,
right.
And I think Randall is dealing a little bit with a lot of expectations and the fact that he's had a little bit of a down year compared to his best year as a pro last year. Then I think he's, frustrated. He was frustrated with his performance. I think he's also been frustrated a little bit with the Knicks' overall performance. Look, they're not going to make the play-in. They're not going to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big drop-off from being a 4 seed last year and finally having people in New York talking about the Knicks again. He's an emotional guy. But I think Randall's by far the Knicks' best player. Now, Barrett's had a much improved year. And, Fournier's a guy who tonight had 30 points, but they lost to the Hornets. So he's their most consistent player. Mm-hmm. He's back, I think, a little bit to the Julius Randle that you would expect him to have. So you can't expect him to be, a first team All NBA. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
He's a borderline all-star. He's but he's the best player the Knicks have. Now, if you can package him and get somebody for him that is, I think, a little bit more geared towards what the Knicks need to win, then yeah. But the Knicks don't, they don't have any scoring from the center position. Randall's a kind of a long flex 4, and they got a bunch of guards. Toppin's not going to step in and fill that hole.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you can get something for him, certainly, but I don't know what that is. And I don't know what other teams he goes to where they're going to take on his contract and he's going to be able to help them.
Right. No, I agree. It's going to be difficult. And I kind of said it tongue in cheek when I said it, but I mean, it's just what's going on with him. I mean, he went from, this all-star player, oh my God, Randall's the guy, he's good, gets the contract and he sucks. I mean,
he doesn't suck.
Well,
doesn't
no,
suck,
I mean,
but
he hasn't
he has some
cliff.
sucky games. He has moments of sucking.
He's averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds and 5 assists.
Yeah, his numbers aren't terrible compared to last year.
His numbers are good.
Yeah,
his numbers are good. 20
well, I guess I'm not comparing him to other Knicks, and I'm not comparing him to whatever he's playing. I'm comparing him to what he was for the team last year is what I'm comparing him to.
I would say that Randall, he's had more down games this year, and he hasn't been as consistent. But what I will say about Randall is that what he's actually improved on a little bit is his ability to spread the court a little bit more. He's become what that sacrifice, though, where I think Randall is best, is his ability to get the ball and take it to the hole and get to the free throw line. Right. And I think that's what I'm missing a little bit this year. He also doesn't have – look, he's having to put in way more time on the defensive end because the Knicks are not as good of a defensive team as they were last year. There's a lot of penetration because their guards are pretty horrific defensively. And the Knicks – do the Knicks have a point guard? Do they have – do they really have a 3? They have 3 shooting guards – Julius Randle and whoever they decide to play at center, which for these days has been Mitchell. So I don't really blame Julius Randle. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a fit for Julius Randle where the Knicks can get something back in return. Because didn't he just sign a new contract? I mean, didn't they
this is a new
that?
Contract this year. Yeah.
Look, he took advantage of his best career as a pro. He may never be as good as he was last year.
Right.
It doesn't mean that he's not an important part of this Knicks team. I think if the Knicks can ever acquire a real superstar who can, and not give up. Look, if they need to get rid of Obi Toppin and some of these other guys and keep Barrett and Randall and be able to add a Donovan Mitchell or even better, a Damian Lillard, I think the Knicks become a really exciting team.
Right. That would be
kind of the problem with Randall is you think if they're going to bring in a superstar in a trade, Randall is obviously going to be one of those pieces, which sort of makes the trade less attractive to the superstar you're bringing in, although it's not necessarily a deal breaker. But if they can get a free, to me, if they're deciding, okay, we're going to move on from Julius Randle, maybe a couple of complementary pieces or something you could get for him that would make the Knicks a more attractive team to a superstar who's coming off or
I hear where you're coming from.
But it always seems like he's going to be a piece of that trade, and then now you're going to bring in a big name, but you're going to trade away your best player. It's tough to make that work.
I don't think Julius Randle is a deterrent for other players to come in here.
Right, but if you're going to trade him away to bring in a star, that's going to be, I would assume they would rather have him than not have him.
Right. I think the trick is to try to keep, if you had to get rid of right now Barrett or Randall, it depends on who you're going to get. The Knicks need another shooter. The league is all about guards.
I could see this team being much improved if I mean there's how long has this been, Donovan Mitchell rumors,
Right. Or Bradley Beal or there's other players that I think could fit in in that role. The Knicks are they're a very beatable team right now. And yeah, Randall is obviously part of that.
Right.
But so are all of the other people that they put time into. And this goes back. There's been a long history of the Knicks just making bad decisions. Thank God they were able to get rid of Porzingis. Thank God they were able to sort of work to the point now where they have the ability to potentially attract another big name free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we shall see. I mean, my dream would be, it's never going to happen, but my dream would be for a healthy Kawhi Leonard to come to the Knicks for 2 years. It's not going to happen, but I just don't know where.
Is he going to stay healthy if he does come to the Knicks
I'll take that chance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
well, yeah. Look, if you can have him for 55 games,
right?
But part of those 55 games is the last 25 healthy, then you might go, yeah, we'll take Kawhi.
Yeah, and I don't think Kawhi's going to leave
push.
California. I think he's where he wants to be. But other than that, I mean, yes, RJ Barrett's putting up some good numbers, and yes, Julius Randle has had 2 really good years. But where do they sit in the top 20 basketball players in the league? Are they even in that? No, I don't think so. So they're great 2s and 3 options. Julius Randle would be a great 3rd option. He can step up and be a 2, but he can't be a 1. No. And that's where the Knicks stand.
Can't be the star. That's
and that's not against Julius Randle. He's played on other teams where they've had other superstars. He knows how to do that. I don't think he's not a team player. In fact, I think he's a pretty hard player. I think he's a pretty aggressive player who is incredibly athletic for his size, and he's improved his game. He knows how to spread the court a little bit more. I think he just needs the opportunity to take the ball to the hole, and when that will open up for him when there's more than one threat standing at the 3-point line.
Right.
Yeah, that might be the way for the Knicks to go, as far as if you want to keep Randall and Barrett, is figure out who the free agent you want to bring in is, and then get some better complementary pieces. Because
I think
with Barrett and Randall and then a big name star, that's a formidable team. Now, if it's a shooting guard, then you're going to, you have to address your point guard situation.
Right.
And if you have, that kind of scoring, a lot of scoring in that sense, well, then you're going to figure out who your center is and, what their role is going to be.
And look, that's another person. Mitchell has taken a step back this year. I think overall Fournier has not really lived up, although he's had some good games. He had a great game tonight. We all know that the Kemba Walker experiment was a disaster.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not, I don't think it's Randall and Barrett. Like you just said, neither one of them is a deterrent. I think just the other players around them, who are you going to, how do they lure a big name free agent to New York?
Right.
Unless they're of the mindset, I want to go to New York and it's the Knicks and it's the Garden and I want to be, rebuild that franchise.
Well,
but I think that notion is largely gone now. Today's modern NBA star is they know their basketball history, of course, but the Knicks haven't been particularly relevant for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Longer than a lot of them have been alive.
There's the other thing too.
So it's not, unless they have that sense of history, and I want to, then the Knicks are just another team that hasn't been good in a long time. And yeah, it's New York, but Manhattan is not. Brooklyn's the draw now, right? With the,
I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't for James Harden.
No, but.
It's a draw now with the team.
I don't think any city is a draw anymore. I think the draw now is really, who do I want to go play with so that we can stack the deck and have a chance to win.
Right, because that's just where I was going to go with this. Okay, because you go back to the whole LeBron thing when there was like the rumors of when he went down to
Miami.
When he went down to Miami, and there was maybe he's going to come to the Knicks. Maybe he's going to come to the Knicks. There was nothing there for him, and there hasn't. But there
he was considering the Knicks, but there
wasn't as much for him to go down there and play.
What's his name blew that? The owner of the Knicks blew it.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean that's a given. But there's more now. There's a little bit more relevancy now for New York. But just to your point. It's not necessarily about, one player saying, the Knicks are ready to win. I'm going to go win with them, or I'm going to go help them rebuild because rebuilding's done. It's not happening. The superstar's not going to help a team rebuild. They're going to win. But what, to your point, they're saying they want, I want to play with this guy and I want to play with this guy. So let me get them together. Hey, why don't the three of us go to the Knicks? And they make the trade happen, or the acquisition happen or whatever it is. But my point being is that, 10 years ago, maybe a little less, whatever. Well, 10 years ago, maybe, but a little less. The Knicks were not a team that would have ever been a landing place for those two or three players.
No.
Now it can be.
They don't have the stars. Neither of those guys are. Look, if Joel Embiid and James Harden go to the Knicks and you fill out the rest of that starting five with Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, they're about as good as what the Sixers are right now with their current lineup.
Right.
It makes them a little different. I think Randle probably wouldn't fit greatly with Embiid. But my point being is that that's where Randle and Barrett are. They're not on that level of, and there's a lot of teams that are looking for that second star. The Knicks are looking for that first star. That game changer. And it's nothing against Julius Randle. I actually really like Julius Randle. It's just he had a phenomenal year last year with a team that played their heart out and bought into. They had better defensive players who could play into Tibbs' system a lot better. They don't have that right now.
No, they don't.
And I think there's a lot of guys who have taken a step back. Look, I think R.J. Barrett's the most improved Knick. I think Fournier frustrates me because he shows moments of brilliance, but everybody else has taken a little bit of a step back, and I don't think it's their fault. I think it's just the chemistry of the team isn't as strong as it was last year.
No, we'll see how that, we'll see what the offseason has in store for them and what they're going to look like next year. So that's what we're looking at this point, because like you said, they're out. But on that note, they're in the 11th seed right now. They're 4.5 games behind the Hawks.
They're not good. Atlanta won tonight, so
yeah. Sorry, they're 5 games behind the Hawks, but still, they won 4 in a row. A little too late. Obviously at this point for this little bit of a run.
Yeah, they had a couple wins there against some teams that they caught at the right time.
Right. But here's one thing that I just wanted to bring up, and I thought about this before. I just want to bring it up before we, finish basketball or anything like that. The Eastern Conference, the top team is the Heat right now, 48 wins, right?
Yeah.
The Western Conference, the top team is the Suns with 61 wins, okay? Now, the Eastern Conference, obviously with lower wins, there's 9.5 games between the 10th seed and the 1 seed. In the Western Conference, there's 30 games between the 10 seed.
Right. The Nuggets would be fighting for a 1 seed in the East.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's insane. And that 30 seed, but that's the other thing too. That 30 games, the Spurs are 30 games. They're in the 10th seed, and they're 30 games behind the Suns, but they have 31 wins. The 10th seed, the Atlanta Hawks have 38 wins. So, there's a big disparity. Disparity. I was putting those two words together. Between 10 and 1 in both conferences. It's just funny. I just thought I wanted to bring it up. That's all. So.
Yeah, and good for Atlanta. They've sort of climbed back into a position where at least they're going to guarantee themselves a play-in, maybe probably a play-in.
That's got to be at this point. They're 5 games out of 6th, so it's going to be a play-in. So.
Yeah, and
a lot of shit would have to go down in the next week and a half for that to not.
Big win for the Heat tonight, but the Bucks, Celtics have slipped a little bit. The Bucks that was a statement game last night by Giannis. The Bucks are the team, to me, in my estimation. The Bucks are the team to beat. in the East because they have the chemistry of playing together. I still think the Sixers and the Nets are trying to figure this shit out. And in the West, the Ja Morant injury, I think, is a concern for the Grizzlies. I was all on that Grizzlies bandwagon, but
they've won five. They've won 5 in a row.
They're a deep team. I get it, but when is he going to come back? And is he going to come back in time to really get back into the groove? That Grizzlies team is a dangerous team. They're a dangerous team. Having said that, I think Phoenix is a team that's not only the best in the West, but they're a better team now and more geared for the playoffs than they were a year ago. Yeah. And Devin Booker, who I always thought was an MVP candidate and the best player in the Suns, even with all the Chris Paul chatter, has proven that, he is the best player on that team and maybe the best player in the Western Conference this year.
Yeah. I agree.
And the big story is, will the Lakers even make it to the play-in? Do they want to?
Yeah. Well, listen, the Spurs are trailing right now. Where's the score? They're down by 9.
Yeah.
At the end of the third quarter to the Grizzlies. So if they lose, I guess the Lakers would go to 10. The Lakers are off.
Right.
And that the Spurs would have an extra loss. So that could be very interesting to watch over the next. How many games are left?
5 or
6 or 7, right? 5, 6, 7 at most.
There's a lot of garbage in that 10, 9, 8, whatever it is. The play-in teams in the West are they're pretty horrible.
Three of those 4 play-in teams are under 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
also because they have to play in the West.
Right. Right, but they don't play. I mean, the top 6 are about. I mean, other with the exception of Phoenix and Memphis, who are both about 50 and 60 wins, irrespectively. But Golden State, Dallas, Utah, Denver, all in the high 40s.
They would all be battling for the top spot in the East right now.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, the top 6 teams top 7 teams in the East, top 8 if you include the Nets.
I mean, the Nuggets as of right now are in the 5th spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just look.
But you look at the Nets, right? They're won 7 out of their last 10, and the Hornets have won 7 out of their last 10, and I think the Hawks have won 8 out of their last 10. They're all kind of Toronto's won 8 out of their last 10, so they're all kind of moving along as a pack. Nobody's really switching positions.
Right.
But out in the
Toronto's
West, it's
been
very interesting to watch.
Chicago's kind of a head scratcher as to why they've been, Boston was on a tear there, but they've lost 2 in a row. I still don't think the Sixers have it figured out, although they could. And, Miami's kind of looked a little confused lately too. The Bucks, I think the Bucks I would not be surprised if the Bucks wind up winning the East and having that 1 seed.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, they're half a game out.
I just think they're a team that knows how to play together and finish games. It's going to be an interesting playoffs. I kind of hope I get to watch the Lakers in a play-in scenario. Mm-hmm. And the Nets, I mean, I thought they would have been able to jump up into the top 6, but it's going to be challenging.
Well, that's what I mean. Everybody's kind of, winning. Those teams that are right around them, they're winning.
They're winning and losing the same
at the same
other,
clip. So it's only they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you look right down at the streaks: one win, 1 loss, 2 losses, 1 win, 3 losses, 3 wins, 1 win, 1 win, 1 loss, 2 wins. They're all. It's not. There's no 6 losses and 7 wins. They're not. Nobody's
right. Yeah,
jumping around. Like
they all have 7 or 8 wins in their last 10 games, and
right. Right.
So,
the Nets have to play Milwaukee tomorrow.
On that note, though, okay, and this is something we didn't talk about in the beginning, and I'll bring it up right now because we could just talk about it completely. They got rid of the vaccine mandate for professional sports players and entertainers in New York City. So obviously that was spearheaded by baseball. So. But it helps Kyrie, so now he's able to play. does that do anything for the Nets? Because now he can play all the home games too.
He laid an egg in his first game at home after the vaccine.
Right.
So, because
he wasn't used to playing there.
Kyrie can be Kyrie can be amazing. I think the Nets just have a weird. The excitement level just doesn't always seem to be there with those guys.
Right.
Look, would it surprise me if the Nets made it to the NBA Finals? No. Would it surprise me if it was the Nets and Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals? No. I still think Milwaukee is the team to beat, and I'm not counting out Miami. Mm-hmm.
But I did hear that if it does come down to the Nets and the Bucks again in the Eastern Conference Finals, that whatchamacallit, Durant is going to wear smaller shoes.
Yeah.
So. No.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I
could have hit it a little quicker than that.
I don't think the Nets are a better team than they were before the Harden trade. That's for sure. They're really relying on Durant and Kyrie, and we'll see where it leads them. Either of those two guys on any given day can be the best player in the NBA. So if they're both hitting, it just seems like the Nets defense is porous as hell.
Yeah, it's still not good, and that's
it's in line with a lot of the teams, though. So
their best path might be, if they can overtake,
any team in the East can beat any other team in the East in a playoff.
If they stay where they are, right, and they beat Cleveland, let's say they're the 7-8, then the winner of that goes to play Milwaukee. That might be the best route for the Nets. Play Milwaukee early, and if you can get by them, then really, I would still think Philly would be a challenge.
I think the Nets match up better against Philly than they do against Milwaukee.
Right, but if they lose that game, then they've got to play the winner of Charlotte and Atlanta, and then go play Miami. You might think that might be an easier way to go, but I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
It will be.
It's all gonna. I mean, if the interesting thing will be if Toronto moves forward, and then if the Nets end up playing Toronto at some point.
Toronto's playing good ball. Toronto
and Kyrie's not going to be able to play in Canada.
Toronto and Boston are playing they're two really good defensive teams. So
and they're set to meet each other first round if things were to end today. So
yep.
There you go, man.
Yeah. We will see. All right. Anything else basketball? I don't think so, right?
Nope.
We're good. Hockey really quick. I did want
look at this. Spurs are only down by 2.
There you go. They're bringing it back.
There we go.
Rangers passed the the Penguins in the I was gonna say Pirates. The Penguins in the Metropolitan Division, so they're in second place right now in that. But I did, more importantly, Chris Kreider, 23 power play goals this season. He's second all time for the Rangers, behind Jaromir Jagr's 24 in the 05-06 season. So he gets another 2 power play goals this season. He's got the record. Just wanted to bring that up. Little kudos to Chris Kreider there. So
good for him.
Good for him, Chris. Good for Chris Kreider. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Avalanche now has 100 points.
Yeah, but McKinnon's hurt, and we'll see how serious that is. Mm-hmm. It's a big, big loss for them.
So, all right. So,
but yeah, they've got to be the favorite going into the.
Well, yeah. I don't see why they wouldn't be at this point. I mean,
Carolina,
they won.
Carolina's not that far behind them, and
no. But Carolina's playing well. But the Rangers are just I don't know what's going on. They're playing more inspired than I've seen them play in a long time.
They've won 4 in a row.
Even more so than they did when they 6 years ago, whatever, when they went to the Cup against the Kings. I think I'm looking at this team as a better team than that was.
8 out of 10, 4 in a row, no ties. Yeah, they're playing. Mm-hmm. They won again today in overtime. So I was joking with my cousin who's a huge Rangers fan. I'm like, it could be a Rangers Avalanche and NHL Finals.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like we said last week, we'd be talking a little bit more about hockey at the end of every show if that were the case.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Still be talking about Kevin Durant's big toe.
This too. Yeah. So. All right. You did have an over/under, did you not? You're looking. Stemming did.
Yes. By the way, the answer is here.
Okay.
I've written the answer down. So tonight I'm drinking some sparkling ice.
Sparkling
lemonade.
ice.
Classic lemonade. It's a 0 sugar, so it has like a lot of chemicals in it.
Yep.
So let's see if I can read these.
Healthy stuff.
Well, less than healthy, but some healthy stuff too.
Gotcha.
So let's see.
Remember when water is just water?
Water.
Yeah. Well, this isn't water. This is water. This is the definition
This is
of
sparkling
water
ice.
with flavor.
Water with
Not
flavor.
Is there vodka in there?
But there's just flavor in it.
Is there vodka in there?
They put what kind of flavor? Not
anymore.
Flavor.
So
not anymore.
This has, and we were talking about this before, cyanocobalamin, which is vitamin B12.
Right.
And it has niacinamide, which is another B vitamin. And
is that a combination between niacin and cyanide?
Maybe. Niacinamide is vitamin B3.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it has 2 other B vitamins.
All right.
One of which is calcium pantothenate. And the other, which is pyridoxine hydrochloride.
This is going to be an open. I definitely have to. These words in there.
So the over-under
is.
Let's see. Okay, so
how many different
niacinamide is B3.
Right.
Cyanocobalamin is B12.
Mm-hmm.
Pyridoxidone hydrochloride is B6.
Hydrochloride.
Calcium pantothenate is also a B vitamin. But which B vitamin is it? Which number?
Gotcha.
So the over-under is 2.5.
Meaning that it's if it's B1 or B2, it's under. If it's B3 or above, is that what you're talking?
Over. Yes, that's what he means.
Yes.
Right. Unless it's B2.5.
Now, again, niacinamide is B3.
Right.
Cyanocobalamin, that's not how it's pronounced.
Probably
B12.
not, but it's B12.
Gotcha.
And pyridoxine hydrochloride is B6.
Okay.
So 3, 12, and 6. I think there's a B vitamin for like every number up through 15 or something, right?
There's a lot of B vitamins.
I don't know. Okay, so which B vitamin number is calcium pantothenate? The over-under is 2.5.
Where you going, Harry?
I've never heard of a B1 or 2, so I'm going to go over, but I don't know. So I'm guessing it's somewhere over. Maybe it's a B5, 6. I don't know.
All right.
I'm going under.
John is going under. Okay. I have to read it again. Well, Harry, you know your B vitamins. Calcium pantothenate is, in fact,
B7.
Actually, I wrote the wrong
Bingo!
number. I wrote the wrong number down. It's B5.
All right.
It's B5. I wrote B6, but it's B5.
There you
go. There you go. It is
Harry,
over.
Now it's 4. 4 wins in a row, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
You have 4 wins in a row.
Just this is basically just guessing.
Pretty much.
Well,
no.
Well,
you
no,
know your
visual,
B vitamins.
The visual stuff I was good at. When I could see things in a bottle, I could sort of, kind of guess. But yeah.
Well, were you though? The guessing ones you seem to be good at, and it's the ones that were the visuals you weren't. That's
because I won the pill one, and
by the way, there is a B1 vitamin. It's
there is a B1
thiamine.
Thiamine, yeah. I couldn't think of what it was, and as soon as I said it, I'm like, screw it, it's not. It's B1 is thiamine. I'm like, damn it. All right, so whatever.
Right.
But
I guess there's a B everything.
There's a B everything.
All right.
Be all that you can be. That's what it is.
Be all that you can be.
We got B1, we got B2, 5, 6, 12.
Bingo.
3. There is a 7 and a 9.
There you go.
A
lot of B vitamins. Look at that. All right.
Such a complex vitamin B.
B is such a complex vitamin. It really is.
Oh, B2 is riboflavin.
Oh, yes.
I love good. It's got a lot of riboflavin.
And B9 is, well, actually, isn't that
Bingo.
from,
yeah, bingo. Yeah.
What was the movie with John Cusack going across the country with the girl for spring break?
Oh, I have no idea.
Hot
Tub Time Machine?
No, this is way old. And he's reading like they're like sitting in the rain or something, and he's eating pork rinds, and he's like, well, these pork rinds have 4%.
John Cusack is in the rain in every one of his films.
Daily dose of riboflavin.
Riboflavin, yeah, exactly.
I do not know if there's ever been a John Cusack film where there is not at least one scene of him in the rain.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, yeah, you see that one where I think he was like a hitman in a motel. The whole movie was raining the whole time. So
yeah, was that with Minnie Driver?
I think so. Yeah,
that was a good. He
looks
film.
good. What?
Gross Point Blank? Is that
that's
Gross
Point Blank. Yeah.
He looks good wet.
He does. All right. Speaking of wet, John Cusack, we're going to wrap the show up on that note for today. We will want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget, the Final Four is on Saturday, and the championship game will be on Monday night. Check that out. Take that all in, and get ready for our baseball kickoff show next week. Yeah.
All right.
We will talk to you later, folks. Enjoy. Cheers.
So it was the Sure Thing. The character's name was Gib, and it was 2% of the RDA of riboflavin in the pork rinds.
There you go.
Thank you, Internet.
Thank you.
All I had to do was type John Cusack pork rinds.
Tonight's show is brought to you by the letter B and the number 5.
Tonight's show is brought to you by riboflavin.
Why are my brain cells wasted containing that memory?
That memory, yeah, exactly. You knew it. Hey, cheers.
Bye, everybody. Eat your pork rinds.
Oh, and get your riboflavin. 2% anyway.
No natural riboflavin in